Hi, my name is Maria, and this is my channel MH Books, and this is the second half of my book haul, which I had to break into two because I like to talk too much. So I'm just going to hand you back to half an hour ago, Maria. Bye. Okay, this is just a random set of books based on, I picked them up mostly because of other people's recommendations, everybody's recommendation. I picked this up. It's Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. Not read any of his stuff yet. Keep picking up in bookshops. Deliberately picked up a very battered, well, for me, battered secondhand copy. I know other people have different definitions of this. That the spine is broken. It is mass paperback, but it's supposed to be a page turner, and I thought it would be really handy to have a single book that was a decent length, over 1,000 pages, that I could bring on holidays with me somewhere, not worrying about having to bring another book in case I ran out of reading material. But only having one book, therefore justifying buying more books where I am. And you see the way my brain works. It is so, whatever it gets me. It's also a page turner, so that it would be fun. I hope to God I'm not going to spill books on top of me. I thought I had no books from language I hadn't read before for women in translation. Then I realised it's actually here. So let's see, can I find it? Probably shouldn't turn my back to camera, should I? I learned better than that somewhere. There we go. I'm going to turn you back. You don't really need to see the kitchen, do you? I did have a Finnish book, and I've never read Finnish before, and it's Purge. And I picked it up on a recommendation during the last year's, 2017 Women in Translation. Isn't that funny? So those who deny history are doomed to repeat it. So that's Purge by Sofi Oksanen. Finnish name, not sure how to pronounce all the syllables. Oksanen. And then when I was looking for this, I realized I was looking for languages I hadn't read. I was looking through chapters in the translation section, and I was looking through, and I went, oh, I haven't read Finnish. Oh, I have that book. I came across this one as well, and coincidentally, I went to a charity shop the day after, and there it was again. So I think it was about €2 for this copy, and this is Norma by the same author, and I'm going to read the back. I think this has been on Simon Savage's channel. I think he hasn't read it either. And by the way, I bought this despite the fact that some of my Goodreads friends don't like it. Sometimes I buy things despite what people think. I hate being old. I hate having to do this. It's really annoying. Okay. It's full of magical realism, and there's a mystery. So, when Anita Naka jumps in front of an oncoming train, her daughter Norma is left alone with the secret they have spent their lives hiding. Norma has supernatural hair, sensitive to the slightest change in her mood and the moods of those around her, moving of its own accord, corkscrewing when danger is near. And so it is her hair that alerts her when she talks to a strange man at her mother's funeral that her mother may not have taken her own life. Setting out to reconstruct Anita's final months, sifting through puzzling cell phone records, bank statements, video files, Norma begins to realise that her mother knew more about her hair's power than she had let on, a sinister truth beyond Norma's imagining. So, the premise is intriguing. I will try it with the warning, knowing that a few of my friends don't like it, but I deliberately didn't ask why, because I don't want to spoil. This one has been raved about. The Knives Hour, Alice McDermott. It's about a suicide of a husband, I believe, and the nuns of the local Brooklyn community take in the wife. One of my Goodreads friends who is Irish said it's the first time he's ever liked nuns in fiction or reality. There is issues with the Catholic Church for some Irish people. And he would be brilliant literary and an extraordinary reviewer of literary fiction. So I'm intrigued. I want to read a few books based in New York City. I think I have Paul Auster's Brooklyn's and it's Paul Auster book, huh? Paul Auster's here, isn't he? Yeah. I have the New York trilogy. I have Christodora over there somewhere. So maybe one day I will, not one day, be a lot of books to read one day. So maybe sometime soon I will read a whole set of books based in New York. The last book in this section of books picked up on recommendations is Quiet. Unfortunately, the cover is white, but again, that's supposed to symbolize quiet. It's a non-fiction book about introverts. The author is Susan Cain. I was intrigued about this one because I seen her TED Talk, I believe. And I'd seen on YouTube anyway, so I presume it was her TED Talks, because I'm not subscribed to many things that are not BookTube. And then I think, who was it? Oh, Amy at Zoe Beck was reading the audiobook of this, I think, quite recently. And then I saw it in the charity shop, and it was 3 books for €2. So, you know, and this is quite a new release. It's only just coming in the is it beige style paperback? This is trade paperback, no, the normal paperback in Ireland about 2-3 weeks ago. So it's a really good book to pick up, so I picked up that. Okay, I'm going to stop you before I go to the next section, but I will have a sip of coffee. I might actually drink some more when you're not looking at me. Okay, slightly different angle. Too many books on this table, this little table in front of me, or kitchen table in front of me. Kazoo Ishiguro, Never Let Me Go. This book fits both categories. The previous category of extremely highly recommended, it was shortlisted for the Man Booker, so it also fits this category. The categories are just so I could sort the books out into some kind of reasonable order. And Light Remains of the Day. Read it 4 or 5 years ago. I think I would have liked it better this time if I read it as this year, because I seem to be getting better on with introverted characters this year. I've just read Go Went Gone, which is Jenny Eppenbrecht. Oh God, my memory of names. I Should Be Richard from her book, who changes everybody's names to something that he can remember. I particularly liked her introverted character. Okay, so I think I would get on better Remains of the Day nowadays than I did then. Never Let Me Go is more highly recommended than that, so that's the only reason I have it. It was €2 in a charity shop. Don't really know what it's about, but most people do, so I don't feel guilty in the slightest. Just saying, I bought it, I like it, I hope to read it. Maybe one of these, well, I don't hope to, one of these days I'll, you know, in about 15-20 years get to retire and catch up on all this reading. I can't keep up with all my books. Cormac McCarthy, Bored because All the Pretty Horses, Bored because Lonesome Dove, I loved it. Been looking out for a Western, saw this in the charity shop, had really wanted to pick up my wish list, which is about 400 or 500 books long, that I keep on, based on other people's TBRs, other people's wrap-ups, you know, even other people's book hauls. I things I'm really interested in, I keep on my want to read list on Goodreads. If I buy them, I have them on a separate list. And I wanted to buy Blood Meridian. So Pretty Horses is actually a Western. Thought, well, there you go, that's close enough, because you wanted to read a Western after Lonesome Dove. It's based in 1949, by the way. It involves Texas Rangers and a trip to Mexico, and it is of a 16-year-old, I believe. Didn't realize there was a movie until I checked it out after I got home. So when I finish that, I can watch the movie. Not very in-depth intellectual reasons, but there you go. This book appeared on Goodreads Recommends when I joined Goodreads about 4 or 5 years ago. Probably because I was reading Nigerian authors at the time. This is a book, I don't know, is it an American family? Yeah, so it's an American, Nigerian, Ghanaian family. Multicultural. And it's been there waiting for me to find a reasonably priced copy. It's supposed to be a page turner. I skimmed through without trying to spoil myself Goodreads, friends' Goodreads reviews, not actual top Goodreads reviews, but my friends' Goodreads. So it sounds like it's going to be good. I have a similar book which I picked up because it's a winner of the Orange Prize for New Writers. I like the idea of for new writers. But for a paperback, it has a gorgeous insert, and it has quite a nice picture of its author. So it's 26A by Diana Evans. This case, it's a British Nigerian family, as far as I know. The mother makes sugar puddings with cayenne pepper, or lots of cayenne pepper. And it's about a family. It's about, there's twins. They have an older sister. I think their dad is British and their mother is Nigerian originally, and it's about them finding their own separate identities as far as I understand it, and it intrigues me, so that was enough. The Vagrants, set in 1970s China. I've wanted to read more set in this period. I'm just going to read from the back. So Gushan is executed for her loss of faith in communism in 1970s China. Her father is unable to accept his rebellious daughter, and while her mother is devastated at the loss of her only child. The citizens of her town, including 7-year-old Tong, crippled Nini, and the idler Bashi and the beautiful Kai, unite in protest over her death, but the thing that brought them together can also tear them tragically apart. And over the following weeks, they go through uncertainty, hope, fear, until the rebellion is brutally suppressed. So this is an interesting period within Chinese history. I've read 1 or 2 books already based in it, and I was interested in the period. I believe this is quite devastating to read, though. So I would have to wait till I'm in a place, or maybe read in conjunction with a book that I can take a break if it gets too harsh. And we're on to the final 2. So the final one is Disgrace, and it is J.M. Coetzee. It is the winner of the 1999 Booker Prize. Reading it mostly because I've had a few good experiences with the Booker, which I didn't expect over the last couple of years from the Booker lists. So I just thought to go back through, when you see one in a charity shop, there's tons of copies of this for like 6 or 7 quid secondhand in Chapters, but this was a charity shop, so I think it might have been €2.50. I think it was a shop that charges for its hardbacks, more for its hardbacks. And I don't know how you describe this one. It's again a middle-aged scholar. And again, that's because I'm just reading Go Went Gone, and that was about an academic who retired. So as if you were in my head. And it's based in Cape Town, and it's based. Let me see. The thing that intrigues me about it. It's based when apartheid ends. And that's a difficult period in history in South Africa. And I was working with a South African just as this happened. And she was living in Ireland, had been for a while, but her family was white South African, had been in South Africa for a couple of generations. And her taking apartheid, we would call prejudice, but was her take on apartheid, and her descriptions of the difficulties that the country went through when the system went down, is intriguing. So that's probably because this book deals during this time period. One of the main reasons I picked it. And the last one is the only classic, The Woman in the Charity Shop, which is the one that's around the corner from me, was kind of like, the idiot? So yeah, the idiot. And she went, you know, she must, I don't know, maybe she's Russian. Fyodor Dostoevsky. There's not a lot of Russian people in Ireland. I know some Ukrainians though, but no, I know not to say they're Ukraine, it's Ukraine, but not Russians. So I find it difficult with all names, but I'm still learning. It's even some of the more common Russian names. This one is my first foray into, well, if I read it, my first foray into Russian literature. I'm just thinking I have Anna Karenina on my shelves. And I have another really infamous one on my shelf somewhere that I can't even remember the name of. Oh, and I also have War and Peace. War and Peace I inherited from my uncle who died about 6 or 7 months ago. His copy of the book had never been opened. It was really expensive copies in the book. He'd bought from a catalogue, not that expensive, but you know, expensive. And you had to creak open the page, and the ribbon had gotten stuck with all the things. Actually, he'd bought them because they were expensive, not because he wanted to read them. So I'm determined at some stage to read them. So maybe I will read this. The person who bought this obviously never read it. They bought it when it cost £6.55, I'm guessing. It's from O'Mahony's. O'Mahony's a local news agency here as well. I mean local, and not as in local Dublin. I mean local around the corner from me. So it doesn't exist anymore, so I haven't given away my address. So that's and I'd say they bought this new thing, and I'm going to do some serious reading, and I'm probably going to keep up the tradition. So that is on my TBR, and I am so sorry this went on and on and on and on. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you want to, or like it, you know. I mean, we all like to look at books being bought. Well, most of us do. And I hope whatever you're reading, you're enjoying it. Bye.